Hey everyone, Matt here with Reach Your Summit. It's without a doubt that cold soaking is going to be a great ultralight option for you on your backpacking trips. But if you're like me, I like to have a nice hot cup of coffee in the morning. There's also something really nice about having a warm meal at night, especially when you're out on a trip and it's cold and rainy. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 great lightweight stove options. I'm going to have a comparison with their boil times and their performance, in case you're looking for something a little more compact and light to take with you on your backpacking trips. So as I film this today, it's early spring. The temperature is around 42 degrees Fahrenheit with a sustained wind of 9 miles per hour, and it brings the temperature down to about 37 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first stove that I have here is the heaviest of the 3 that I'm going to show you, but it's still relatively light in weight compared to a lot of other options out there. This stove is no stranger to the backpacking community, and that stove is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2. So the Pocket Rocket 2 weighs 2.6 ounces, and it's replacing the 3.1 ounce MSR Pocket Rocket and the Micro Rocket. A stove folds down relatively small. It's a lot more compact than its predecessor, the original Pocket Rocket. The boil time with this for 1 liter of water is about 3.5 minutes. So the main materials used with this stove are steel and aluminum, which gives it its beefier weight compared to the other 2 that I'm going to show you. But this robust stove is very reliable, very durable, and it has great pot supports. It comes in a carrying case like this, which you can keep at home and just put the stove inside of your cook pot with the fuel if you'd like, depending on the cook pot that you have. So here's the burner head, the valve regulator, and the O-ring. So this stove uses the Lindal Valve system. You can use any MSR canister, Snow Peak, Primus canister, Coleman canister. As long as it has a Lindal valve, you won't have any trouble. With the arms unfolded, you could see the dimensions of it a bit more. This is a great stove. It'll tolerate a larger pot. It's good for smaller groups or a couple of people if you are out with someone else on the trail. Or if you're out on a solo adventure, this will work just fine for you. And the price of this stove is going to be $45 US. So the next stove that I have here is going to be the highest priced of the 3 in this video, but it's going to be a little bit lighter in weight than the Pocket Rocket 2, and still very reliable, durable, and has great pot supports. And that stove is the Snow Peak LiteMax. So the LiteMax is $59.95, and the weight of the stove is 1.9 ounces. This is one of my favorite stoves. I've used this on so many trips. It does also use the Lindal Valve system, so you won't have any trouble with different types of canisters. So the materials used with this stove are titanium and anodized aluminum. The burner is relatively around the same size as the Pocket Rocket 2, and the pot supports are really nice because you can keep it small for a smaller pot like this, and you can also fold out the arms and they lock into place if you have a larger pot. This stove will have no trouble fitting in a 750 milliliter pot also. 650 milliliter pot. I've even been very close at getting it to fit completely in my 550 milliliter titanium pot. This stove is great for soloists and smaller groups as well. And to boil a liter of water, the time is about 4 minutes and 25 seconds. And this stove comes in like a small velvety pouch, which you can keep at home. Again, you can put the stove in the pot with the fuel, or you can carry it in this if you'd like to. Now the last stove that I am going to show you is the lightest of the 3 in this video. And it's so small that you can't even see it in my hand right now. It's a very popular stove amongst ultralight backpackers. and that stove is the BRS 3000T. So the BRS 3000T weighs in at 0.9 ounces. That's 25 grams. That is not even a full ounce. And this mighty little stove is awesome. It's great for one person though. You're definitely not going to want to use something like this with groups. This is just strictly for solo adventurers. The materials used with this stove are 60% titanium, 10% copper, and 20% stainless steel. Here's the burner head. And this stove you can get on Amazon, and it's priced right around $16. Definitely get what you pay for with this stove. Some people have had them fail, some have had the pot supports bend on them a little bit due to heat. I haven't had any major issues with mine yet, but for the price you kind of get what you pay for. So if this is an option that you're looking to consider, just know that it can be faulty, you can have issues with it, but not all of the stoves will have that issue, and you might be very lucky. If not, you buy a couple of these and it's still not going to equal the cost of the other two stoves in this video. And here's this stove with the pot supports open. You definitely cannot get a larger pot on this. If you try putting a large pot on this, you're probably going to have some trouble. So I typically use a 550 milliliter pot with this stove. The stove also uses the Lindal Valve system. So you can use an MSR canister with it, Snow Peak, Coleman. They'll all work very well with this stove. Boil time for a liter of water with this stove is around 5 minutes. So not too bad. For a cup of water you can get it around 2.5 to 2 minutes and 45 seconds depending on where you're using the stove, the time of year, the conditions. And this stove comes in a tiny little nylon pouch. So here are the three in comparison in size with the pot supports completely open. And the three folded down. Now for the fun part. I'm going to do a boil test with a cup of water for each and show you how they rest inside of two different pots. So the fuel I'm using for this video comparison is a 110 gram canister of MSR ISO Pro. So to be fair to all stoves, I'm going to be using the Toaks 550 milliliter titanium pot. But just to show you, here's the MSR Titan tea kettle, which is a 850 milliliter pot, and the Toaks 550 milliliter titanium pot. So here's the water level. Had a little bit of wind gusts there. Say it's right around 3 minutes. You can see where it's at. Alright, so next I have the BRS 3000T, the MSR Titan tea kettle on there. And with the Tokes 550 milliliter pot. The water level with the BRS. About that, I had a phone call that came through. The wind gusts are picking up again. Alright, so here's this one right around 3 minutes. And lastly, we have the Snow Peak LiteMax with the MSR Titan tea kettle, the Toaks 550 milliliter pot. And the water level for that, the wind gusts are becoming a little more frequent. That's where I'm at, around 3 minutes. So here we have the MSR Titan tea kettle, fuel canister, a stove, my bamboo utensil, and the lid. And that has no trouble sitting inside of that. I put the Snow Peak in there and the bamboo utensil, the lid, no issues there. Of course the BRS will have no trouble sitting inside of that either. For the Toaks, it's a little more difficult. So this canister will sit in here no problem. Pocket Rocket. It's going to be a little trickier getting that to sit inside of here. It'll rest in there on its own, no problem, but definitely a lot trickier. Said the stove, no issues sitting inside of there on its own. So the snow peak is a little easier, but still a bit difficult getting that in there. I usually just put the spoon over like that. Not as bad as the Pocket Rocket 2. With the mesh bag that the Toaks pot comes in, I can still carry this securely with this cinched down tight. BRS. Very, very close. And I have no issues putting this around that. It is almost completely closed. So in here, I have everything again, just to show you. And then my lid up top. Cinch this down. My stove, my utensil, my fuel, and the pot all inside of here. So there you have it, 3 great lightweight stove options that won't take up a lot of space in your pack and will guarantee you a nice hot cup of coffee or a warm meal rather than having the cold soak. If you have any questions on these stoves or any other gear you've seen in my videos, please feel free to get in touch with me in a comment below, or you can also get in touch with me at www.reachyoursummit.net. I hope you found this video helpful. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and for your comments. Greatly appreciate all of it. I'll see you on the trail.